definitely shows a lot of parallels to what happened in Milwaukee, where the coach was holding back a generational player. He was holding back Giannis, and he's holding back Luka. Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of NBA Now. It's your boy Dom, and we're gonna get right into things here today. So, today, we are talking about Jason Kidd and Luka Doncic, and definitely more specifically Jason Kidd, and kind of how he's affected this Dallas Mavericks basketball team in a very negative light. Yeah, I guess if we look at his coaching career to start things off, this is a guy that he started off as a head coach for the Brooklyn Nets in 2013-2014. To be honest, I didn't even remember that, because what I remember him for is his Milwaukee Bucks coaching stint, and that's from 2014 to 2018. He was the Milwaukee Bucks head coach. And what was the common stigma that NBA fans held against him and held against the Milwaukee Bucks was, they just can't get over the hump. They're just good enough, but will never be great, right? That was kind of how we looked at Giannis. That was how we looked at the Bucks. That was how we looked at Jason Kidd. And then they got Budenholzer. And although I think many of us agree Budenholzer has his flaws, they went on to win an NBA championship. And they just jumped from being borderline playoff teams to freaking highest in the conference championship level teams. And after his tenure with the Bucks, he ended up as an assistant coach for the Lakers, where many believe that Vogel was a transition coach, and that, Jason Kidd was the guy that they really wanted to be the coach, but didn't want to immediately jump into him being the coach or whatever it was. And he never got that role because obviously they won a championship with Frank Vogel, right? So you're kind of seeing this team where people think Jason Kidd's the guy and the other person's winning the championship, but that's regardless. Then the Dallas Mavericks thing. So whatever it was that drove Rick Carlisle away, whether it was just a brand of basketball that they were playing, running it more through Luka rather than kind of that whole spread it around just mentality that I feel like the Mavericks and at least Carlisle right? Or if it was some internal discomfort, or if it was just he wanted something new because he'd been there for so long. Whatever it was, Rick Carlisle leaves, goes to the Indiana Pacers, and the Mavericks have one of the most desirable head coaching jobs in all of basketball. And so what did they do? They went out and they signed Jason Kidd. And it has not gone particularly well for them to start the season. When we look at how they've started the season, first off, if you look at the players, Luka Doncic is the only person on the entire roster averaging over 20, and the only person averaging over 14 points per game. Not 15. The only person averaging over 14 points per game. He has no other people on his team averaging over 13, and the only person that the only person averaging over 13 on his team that isn't Luka Doncic is Tim Hardaway. So definitely not that good in that account. When you look at his overall points per game, it's the lowest since his rookie season at 22.5. When you look at his assists, it's his lowest since his rookie season, where he had 6 his rookie season. He's at 7.5 this year. When you look at his rebounds, it's slightly up from last year, although not quite to the peak that it was his second year. His steals is pretty much the same, and then he's averaging a little bit more block-wise. His free throw percentage is the worst that it's ever been. His field goal percentage is the worst since his rookie season, and his three-point percentage is the worst since his rookie season. Actually, no, sorry. His three-point percentage is the worst he's ever had at 23%. He's never shot below 31%. And yeah, I mean, his current field goal percentage is the exact same as his rookie season at 42%. So definitely not very good, considering last year, he's taken a 5% drop overall from the field from last year. He's taken a 12% drop from 3. He's taken about 4% drop from the free throw line, and then is averaging 5 less points and over an assist less. Yeah, just he's not having the year that he did last year or the year before, right? Obviously, Luka Doncic before the season was kind of thought of as maybe a guy that would have a shot at MVP, just like last year. And obviously that depended on the Mavericks winning games, and I think we all kind of look at this team as a team that eventually will just pop into that top of the Western Conference, but it's almost looking like that'll happen once they get rid of Jason Kidd. And, I mean, it's very interesting, right? I mean, Jason Kidd, this is a Hall of Famer, right? I believe he was named to the All-NBA 75 team or whatever it was, although I think that list is very meh, in my opinion. But, yeah, I mean, this is a guy that, you know, he led the New Jersey Nets to the finals before he was a multiple-time All-Star. I mean, he made the All-Star 10 times, right? That's a decade of making the All-Star team, from the earliest, you know, in 1997, and then even making it when he was in his age 36 season in 2009, 2010. So, I mean, he made it from his first All-Star appearance to his last All-Star appearance. It was 14 years apart, and he made 10 of them overall. So super good career from him, obviously. So, I mean, you look at this guy as one of the best point guards of all time, a guy that, you know, was able to lead his team to the finals, and yet still he's terrible as a head coach, and it doesn't make sense, right? I think when you look at him, you think he would be a fantastic head coach, but he isn't. He's not good in any aspect of head coaching, and especially offensively, which is just so strange. But yeah, it's just been very weird this year for the Mavericks. So far, I mean, they have had less than 100 points in 2 games. They've had 87. They started their season with 87 points and lost to the Atlanta Hawks. They followed that up with a win against the Raptors, where they put up 103, so barely over 100. They had their highest scoring game of the season to this date against the Houston Rockets, which is understandable, where they had 116. Then they beat the San Antonio Spurs, where they put up 104. Again, pretty low numbers. They lost to my Denver Nuggets, and they only put up 75 points. I mean, we beat them by 31 points. So a terrible beatdown. I think Luka Doncic was the leading scorer in that game with 16 points. And then nobody else on the roster did anything. I think maybe somebody had like 11 or something like that, but it was nobody did anything on that roster that game. And then they won on Halloween 105-99 versus the Sacramento Kings. So currently they're sitting at 3-2. Yes, they're sitting at 4-2. Yes, they're above 500. Yes, they're not. They're beating teams they should beat, I guess, for the most part, right? Raptors aren't fantastic this year. They have bright spots. Same with Houston. The Spurs don't have a ton of talent, but, you know, they're the Spurs, so you never know. It's a game you're always going to have to play. The Kings, I think, have continued to get better, but they're still the Kings. And then they lost to a conference finals team in the Hawks and a one-year removed conference finals team in the Denver Nuggets. So, not terrible. Again, they're beating the bad teams, but they're losing to the good teams, which isn't good. And I think there's definitely turmoil within the Mavericks. I think you definitely, not only you see it like outside of the Mavericks, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Instagram, whether it just be the news talking about them, but you see it. I feel like it's gonna start to seep out from inside, right? I think definitely Luka Doncic is gonna become frustrated if they continue to lose or be unable to beat teams that they should be able to at least contend with game in and game out, rather than just get blown out by, because they're not even competing. They didn't even compete with the Nuggets or the Hawks. I mean, the Hawks defensively just ripped them apart, and then against the Nuggets, they had no offense. No offense against the Nuggets. And so, if this continues, you could see Luka Doncic begin to be very frustrated with the organization. I think, last year we already saw him start to become frustrated, in part due to not having a ton of help, right? With Porzingis not stepping up, with really the only other ball handler on the team being Jalen Brunson. Now, Trey Burke has a little bit of ball handle ability, same with Tim Hardaway, but for the most part, I mean, Luka and Jalen Brunson were the only two above average or consistently competent ball handlers, because Tim Hardaway, sometimes you give him the ball too much, he'll start to wild out a little bit, and then Trey Burke doesn't play quite as much, more of a bench guy, so like not much you can do with that. So again, that leaves you with really two only consistent ball handlers in Luka and Jalen Brunson, and then without Porzingis reverting to what he was in New York, and just making that trade for the Knicks look fantastic, as every day goes on, and his contract just looks worse every day, but that's okay. You can't hate the guy for getting his money. You can't even hate Dallas, because at the time, I think everybody looked at that move as a fantastic move, and now we all look at it like, what the hell were you thinking? But again, that's hindsight 2018. I don't know. We don't hindsight 2020 doesn't really exist. But yeah, I mean, I think we'll start to see some internal conflict for sure, between Luka Doncic and Jason Kidd if this continues. I think trade rumors for Porzingis will continue to rise and thrive, really, as the season continues. And, they didn't make many significant things happen this offseason. They brought in Reggie Bullock. They got rid of Josh Richardson, and that was about it. So they replaced a defender and a meh shooter with a good shooter and a okay service level defender, right? Kind of went more offense and defense in that caliber, changed their head coach, and really it's the same roster as last year. So you should expect at least the same, if not better, because they've been together for longer. I mean, this roster, for the most part, there's been no overhaul to it for the last 2 seasons. You saw consistent progression. I think, that first year when they, in the bubble where they lost to the Clippers in the playoffs, we all thought that was a good step for them to take. Then, last year, obviously, again, they lost to the Clippers, but it felt like even more of a battle, and that they really had a shot in that. So I think coming into the season, we were like, okay, this team is finally going to bump into the second round. This team's going to either jump up in the standings or whatever it is, but they're going to make some sort of jump, and it seems like, at least to this point, they've just gone backwards. They've gone in the direction that isn't going to help them win, and frankly, they've looked not very good. It doesn't, I don't care about your wins versus the Rockets. I don't care about your wins versus the Kings, and I don't care about, who else did they beat? I can't even remember who else they beat. But yeah, I mean, these little wins against the teams that aren't great, right? Or even the Raptors. I don't care about you winning against the Raptors. What I care about is, can you even stay in games against playoff teams? Because to this point, you haven't shown that. Especially against the Nuggets and the Hawks. Now they do play the Heat tomorrow, so we'll have to see if that can kind of turn into something. And then their stretch kind of gets a little difficult here, as the season continues, because they're going to play the Heat, then they go back and they play the Spurs again, so we'll see if they can beat the Spurs again. They'll play the Celtics, which I assume the Celtics will probably be starting to get their stuff together by the end of this week, if not by the end of next week. So that game could be a potential problem for them. They should be able to beat the Pelicans, but then you have the Bulls, the Spurs again, the Nuggets, the Suns back-to-back, and then the Clippers back-to-back. So definitely, as this month continues, you're going to see a little bit of a tougher stretch of games. Now, the end of the month, it does kind of cool off, although Washington is looking fantastic to start the season. You play Washington, the Cavaliers, who have been a pleasant surprise, and then, again, we'll have to see if they have Zion, New Orleans Pelicans to start off next month. So for the rest of this month, I think it looks pretty negative in the light of the Mavericks. I'd expect them to still be over 500 by the end of the month, but if things don't start to really turn around for the team or something like that, or if these, whenever you face a playoff team and you just continue to get blown out, Porzingis will be traded. kid won't make it past the year, and Luka is going to start to probably show his emotion on the court. We've seen him rip jerseys before. It wouldn't be a shock for him to just swing his arm or whatever it may be at the end of the game, just because they had a shot, or they just were never in the game, or just feel frustrated on the bench. His emotion will start to peep through it, and it'll definitely start to even gather more media coverage and whatever that may be. But overall, for the Mavericks, currently it's not looking like a great position to be in when you potentially have a generational talent on your roster. And in a similar case to the Pelicans, now that's a whole different video for a different day, though. It doesn't seem like you're taking the right course of action to win, and it doesn't seem like that's going to be happening anytime soon. So yeah, we'll have to kind of wait and see how this plays out. I just wanted to make this video really just to talk about this, because it's a super interesting thing. Just the fact that Jason Kidd isn't a good head coach is super weird. Just because he's got it, you know, that he's got a basketball mind that's got to be up there with the greats, right? Like, I think we all look at Rondo as, whenever he retires, at some point, now he might have a little too much of an ego to be a head coach, but at some point Rondo will probably be an assistant coach or something like that. I mean, he's damn near a player coach at this point. Right? I think you can definitely see him becoming a coach or something like that. And so I think when you look at Jason Kidd, it's like, how is he not a good coach or whatever it may be, or a great coach even, but instead he's a bad coach? So it's just super weird, weird to think about, and just weird to see happen. I mean, it's the same thing, though, that kind of happened in Milwaukee and happened with the Lakers, right? Where, now to a lesser degree with the Lakers, but definitely shows a lot of parallels to what happened in Milwaukee, where the coach was holding back a generational player. He was holding back Giannis, and he's holding back Luka. And if it continues, Dallas has a lot of stuff to figure out. So yeah, that's gonna be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's been your boy Dom from NBA Now, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace out.